With the rise of literate societies, children have been learning to write for 6,000 of humanity's 200,000 years by using the dominant writing technologies and tools of the time, Kiefer et al., 2015. For a long period of time, handwriting was the dominant writing technology. That is, until now. Let's turn back time about 5,000 years to see how this pervasive writing technology came to be. Cuneiform is recognized as one of the first methods of handwriting, although it certainly wasn't the first method by which humans used tools to communicate. Cuneiform was originally developed as a way to store information and track sales in Sumerian society. As society became more complex, they required a simple and standard way to relay their ideas. Thus, the creation of cuneiform writing symbols allowed Sumerians to explain their world symbolically and efficiently. SAFD, no date. Interestingly, evidence of cuneiform still exists today, as tablets and styluses have remained relatively stable technologies across time and culture. Gabriel, 2008. Unfortunately, the majority of Sumerians could not decipher cuneiform, and the same was true of other cultures developing complex writing systems. Most Egyptians could not read hieroglyphics, as the ornate symbols were difficult to both read and master, and certain groups of people were restricted from learning it in the first place. As Trubeck 2016 explains, for most of writing's history, access to literacy has been extremely restricted. It is also the case that literacy has been met with extreme resistance. When the Greek alphabet was developed, it was not met with open arms. Socrates, one of the most prolific philosophers in history, decried the introduction of the alphabet because of the negative societal changes he claimed would be a result. Eventually, writing was incorporated into Greek life, yet writing did not include standardization, such as formatting or punctuation, evidence that the Greeks spoke text aloud in a culture that still deeply valued orality. Ong, 2002. Under the Roman Empire, the Greek alphabet evolved into the Roman alphabet. As the writing systems evolved, so did the software and hardware. For example, wax tablets evolved to papyrus and paper, and reed pens evolved to quills, pencils, brushes, and metal pens. We can thank Catholic monks for our understanding of the Greek and Roman alphabets, as they spent many years copying Catholic scripts into beautiful manuscripts. In this case, the physical act of writing was relatively manual and impersonal, a reflection of scribe culture. During the medieval era, literacy became more widespread, along with its societal influence. Manuscripts created during this time carried cultural meaning beyond their physical appearance. As different writing scripts evolved, it became more difficult for people to read texts written in a style unfamiliar to them. With these new scripts also came new rules about how to use them for specific writing purposes. Judgments about the right kind of scripts were made, similar to how now one might feel about using Comic Sans in a formal document. Simmons, 2017. The choice someone made about using a script became tied to their ability to express themselves, suggesting that those who used inappropriate scripts were less literate. Trubeck, 2009. In 1450, Gutenberg developed the printing press. Manuscripts still continued to be published, but jobs associated with the press were in high demand, including writing masters and secretaries. Significantly, the mechanization of print and mass production of books helped make ideas movable and knowledge more widespread, encouraging the Reformation movement to spread across Europe and decentralize the power of the Catholic Church. Gabriel, 2008. From the 16th to the 19th centuries, more people learned to read rather than write. As literacy was still very restrictive, writing was taught almost exclusively to men. However, in the 1800s, public schools became more widespread, and competence with literacy was tied to success in life beyond school, specifically professional life. Text became more standardized as writing conventions such as spelling and punctuation were enforced through schooling. Literacy itself was starting to become more accessible, although it was still quite restrictive in terms of who was taught what, likely because proper handwriting was a marker of status that was exclusive to certain members of society. In the late 19th century, two men named Spencer and Palmer would forever change the way North American children were taught to write in school, not just in the form and function of writing, but also why they were taught to write and what it represented in the broader society. As we will see, Spencer and Palmer's influence on writing habits profoundly affected written language acquisition. Spencer's intense fascination with script led him to creating the Spencerian script. When it was introduced to children through schooling, handwriting moved from a symbol of status to a process in which one learned the key values of being educated, proper, and Christian. Turek, 2016. This is significant as changes in literacy acquisition influenced the values associated with handwriting, as well as the reach of who was taught to write. For 50 years, North American students learned to copy this ornate script in order to be successful in school and learn the moral values important at that time. Learning this script involved rigor of the mind and body, as students were encouraged to practice writing 6 to 12 hours a day. Does the script look familiar? Companies such as Coca-Cola and Ford have been heavily influenced by Spencerian script. The Palmer script replaced Spencerian script in the late 19th and early 20th century to reflect changes brought about by the Industrial Revolution. This script still required extensive rote repetition to learn, but reflected the value of efficiency, closely mirroring the assembly line method found in factories. Trubeck, 2016. However, with the invention of the first machine for individuals to mechanize their writing, even the efficient Palmer method couldn't keep up.